part of this earth, and you gazed upon this world with human eyes. Today you are alive in every creature in your risen glory. Praise be to you. So I've been reading the Encyclical. I think it's something that crosses generations. There was a lot of excitement amongst the young Catholic population when it was released, and I think the big thing that I found from the document is really this idea of the three fundamental relationships that we have in our faith. So with God, with others, and with the earth itself. I think also it's a document of such hope. I think that doom and gloom often goes around these discussions, but the Pope's writing really is one of a sense of possibility, and that actually we can act and we can make a difference and we can change this. And there's that sense of urgency there, for sure, that we need to get on with this and do it quickly. But there's no pessimism there, I don't think.
No, it's full of Christian joy. I mean, the Pope doesn't think the end of the world is coming. No. I mean, he sees this as the opportunity for Catholics to recover their faith and their belief and their ability to change the world. He's making a very important claim, because he's saying not only do we have to become very much more fired by this, but we have to engage in a discussion amongst ourselves, and then beyond that to other Christians, and then beyond that to other people of goodwill. I mean, it is a very ecumenical statement. It's an encyclical which is reminding the Catholic Church that we are the salt that should not lose its savour. We are the yeast in the bread. We are there to make the rest of the world grow in its understanding of what it has to do. I think that's very hopeful, because it gives each one of us a role. It's not just the Church having a role.
We've been given these gifts from the Lord, from the sun and the wind, and that actually using them is our responsibility, and to waste them would be ridiculous.
And I don't understand why people don't see what a glorious thing it is. I mean, it is absolutely fantastic that for the first time we can actually harness the sun.
It seems to me that, especially in the media and things, that the Holy Father's encyclical is being sort of portrayed as something very new for the Catholic Church, but actually to me it seems there's a lot of continuity, that, you know, Pope John Paul II spoke about these things very clearly, and as did Pope Benedict, you know, putting solar panels on the Vatican and things like that, that this isn't something new, this is a tradition in some way that's being continued, that the love of creation and, as you say, respect for nature.
Well, I think he makes that very clear, doesn't he? Because you go right back to St. Augustine, it's right back to St. Francis, who talked about St. Thomas Aquinas. I mean, all the great. What he's teaching here is Catholic. It's Catholic teaching. Yeah. This is not some invention that he's created. This is absolutely Catholic teaching. But it is wonderfully presented in language which captures the essence of the teaching in a way which I think resonates with today's world.
In that way, it can transcend politics. You know, it's about really a moral issue, an urgent issue that isn't one of sort of left or right.
No, it certainly isn't one of left or right. It can't be. After all, already it's true that it has been right-wing parties in many countries that have started this battle against climate change, as in other countries it's been left-wing parties. It's not surprising to find that the world's great religions are all beginning to understand that this is part of their role, and we can use that as a basis of dialogue, I think.
It's very beautiful, this idea of the solidarity of generations, and that, you know, this is something where everyone can come together, and this is for your grandchildren and beyond.
I mean, I think it is one of those things we just have to say to people very, very clearly who are trying to say we shouldn't do things about climate change. What they are doing is stealing from their children. This is the most unnatural thing to do. I mean, we expect our children to borrow from us. And their view of borrowing is slightly different from my bank manager's view of borrowing. They don't always think that they have to give it back. That is a fact of life. But the idea that this generation would steal from their children is so wrong, I mean, deeply immoral. And yet that is precisely what those who do not want to combat climate change are saying. They are saying, don't bother, use the world as you are using it, knowing perfectly well that it makes life incredibly more difficult for our children.
So I think what's wonderful about us being able to have this conversation today is this is exactly what the Pope wants. It's what he's invited us to do, is to continue this conversation that he started in sermons, in our church communities, through reading, through reflection, and then hopefully action.
Well, I'm sure that's right, and we should be doing it everywhere. I don't think any church or Catholic meeting should be ignoring the absolute need for this discussion, because this dialogue, of course, brings all the other parts of the faith together. You don't miss out on anything if you talk about what the Pope has asked us to talk about in the Encyclical.